Ethan had read about the experiment in fragments, whispers in redacted files, rumors buried in encrypted transmissions. The project was supposed to have ended decades ago, but the evidence suggested otherwise. It was still running, somewhere deep within the organization's hidden facilities. And if the consequences of the initial trials had been horrifying, what remained now was beyond comprehension. The deeper he dug, the more he realized that the experiment wasn't just continuing, it was evolving. Subjects had been taken, not just from within the organization, but from everyday life, their existences erased, their pasts rewritten. Reality itself seemed to warp around their absence. He followed a series of coordinates embedded in old logs, his every step guided by invisible hands that had left trails meant only for those who could see beyond the veil. The facility was buried beneath an abandoned power station, concealed behind layers of security measures that had long outlived their designers. As Ethan breached its perimeter, his surroundings flickered, images of different timelines overlapping for brief moments before settling back into place. He was inside. The air was thick with static, as though the entire structure hummed with an unseen force. Screens flickered on as he passed, displaying faces he didn't recognize but somehow knew. The experiment had done something to them, had rewritten their identities, had changed the very fabric of what they once were. And then he saw her, the woman from the forgotten files. She was strapped to a chair in the center of the control room, wires extending from her temples, her expression blank, her presence an anomaly in itself. Ethan reached out, but as his fingers brushed against her skin, reality cracked. The room dissolved into darkness, replaced by a corridor stretching infinitely in both directions. Voices whispered in the void, speaking names that had never been spoken, telling stories that had never been told. The experiment had never ended. It had simply become everything. His body felt weightless, detached from the fabric of time itself. He tried to call out, but no sound came from his mouth. The whispers grew louder, morphing into a chaotic storm of voices. He saw flashes of people, doctors, scientists, test subjects, each flickering in and out of existence as though they had never truly been there. He pushed forward, though his feet never seemed to touch the ground. The corridor twisted, reshaping itself with every step. Suddenly, he was standing in a vast chamber filled with machinery that pulsed with a dim, unnatural glow. In the center, a massive cylindrical tank contained a figure suspended in liquid, their face obscured by the distortion of the fluid. Ethan knew, without understanding how, that this person had been in the experiment since the beginning. This was its origin. He stepped closer, and as he did, the machinery around him roared to life. A voice crackled through unseen speakers, a voice that was his own. "You were never meant to find this place." The realization hit him like a shockwave. He had been here before. He had been part of the experiment. Memories he never knew he had flooded his mind, of doctors analyzing him, of waking up in strange rooms, of his own identity shifting like sand in the wind. The woman in the chair had recognized him, not because they had met, but because she had once been him. The experiment had transcended time, consciousness, and identity. He reached out once more, this time not to the woman, but to the machine itself. He needed to end this, to shut it down before it consumed everything. But as his fingers hovered over the control panel, he hesitated. If he destroyed it, what would happen to him? To everyone? Was reality itself now dependent on the existence of this experiment? The whispers returned, urging him to choose. And for the first time, he realized there was no right answer. There was only the choice. And whatever he chose, reality would rewrite itself accordingly.